This is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Spiritual Immersion, Taking the Plunge. And the intention of these podcasts, this particular series, is to support and empower you to engage in the dynamics of being a human spirit and how we do that. What's in our way? What's there for us to know always? What's there to experience always? And how do we get in our own way? And how do we stop getting in our own way so that we're really experiencing the fulfillment of our human spirit? So one of the things that came to me was the idea is quite often, I don't know about you, but if I wanted to learn how to play tennis, and as a kid I played tennis a lot, and I thought I was pretty good at it. But when I started taking lessons, I saw that I had a lot of bad habits and the things that I had put into place as a way of just hanging out and playing tennis, but those ways were not necessarily effective in making me a better tennis player. Being able to direct my shots, be more clear and intentional, be more effective in what I was attempting to accomplish, whether it was serving or whatever shot I was trying to make. And the same with golf. It's really easy. As a kid, I grew up playing golf, and so there's ways of playing golf, and it makes the ball go straight or goes left, right, or divots, or all kinds of things that happen. And I was doing a lot of that because I was just doing what I was doing to get the ball around. It was just for fun. But as I began to get more conscious of what I was doing with the intention of getting the ball to the hole with the least amount of strokes, then I started to be more attentive to where my bad habits continually were in place and how to shift that so that I was being more focused, more intentional, and clearer, and got the job done. And I was more effective, and I had more fun. It's fun to just putz around sometimes, but when you get more effective, there's something that happens that makes a difference. And it's the same with learning to develop your life based on habits, and habits that aren't necessarily bringing you joy or bringing you fulfillment or bringing you prosperity or bringing you anything but suffering, settling, and surviving. And those habits are in place because we've been entrained. In the book Four Agreements, it talks about how we've been domesticated to do things a certain way. And then we train ourselves to keep doing that, even though it's not, creating fulfillment or success or prosperity. We keep doing it and wondering why. And so this is part of the process, is like, oh, there's all these bad habits in place, and I need to shift those. I have to be more intentional in how I'm being present, what I'm being present to. Coming back to golf or tennis, if you focus on your grip, how you're holding, we'll say golf, there's a particular grip. And if you hold it right, you're more likely to get the ball to go where you want. And then there's other elements, as like in the swing and where you put your attention with the ball, keep your eye on the ball. All of those things, it's the very same process when you're focusing on cultivating spiritual mastery, mastery in relation to a spiritual relationship with yourself, and spiritual and or anything else. So in a sense, if I'm wanting more prosperity, that's sort of what it looks like in the 3D world. I have a house, I have a new car, I can go on vacation. When the COVID is over, I can purchase potentially things that make me happy, more painting supplies, those kinds of things. And so the more that I do things or am aware of, it's more what I'm aware of, how I'm being in relation to my spiritual patterns, like ignoring them. When I'm aware of that, then I can stop doing that, stop doing the bad habits, and begin to do something different. Now, the interesting thing is when we start to do something different, we don't know how to. I know how to putz as a tennis player. I know how to putz as a golf player. But if I actually become more intentional, I don't know the outcome of that yet. And that stops many of us from doing things. I don't know how to do that yet. I hear this all the time. I don't know how to do that. And the uncertainty of not knowing scares me. And so I resist it, or I avoid it, or I ignore it, and I go do something that I know how to do. And so we do this all the time, and we don't even know it. So this particular podcast is to talk about how we can become more intentional about practicing the stopping of bad habits and see what happens. David Hawkins says, there's nothing to do but stop doing what doesn't work. So if I'm holding my golf club in a certain way and it's my I keep doing the same thing and I don't get the results I want, I just have to stop doing that. Just stop doing that. And it's the same with how I think about money, or how I act about money, or how I act about my dog, or it doesn't matter the context. It doesn't matter the context. There's a way of being that's habitual in me. And if I look at that, I go, that doesn't work. I've had a lot of inflammation in my body and a lot of things that kept me awake in the middle of the night. And until I stopped doing sugar and wheat and a lot of rice, things didn't change. I just stopped doing what didn't work. And something else is showing up. And it's not like you have to know how to do something better. You just stop doing what doesn't work. And it's like, okay, I'm willing to try this hand grip. I'm willing to try this just as an experiment, see what happens. And see what happens then gives you a sense of whether you're on the right track or not. When we talk about, and quite often in spiritual conversations, there's the concept of karma. And karma basically is old habits, old patterns based on certain beliefs that you haven't resolved yet. So if you do something that is not in alignment with your highest truth, your highest good, let's say you lie about something or you cheat on your income tax, it's like there's an energetic vibration that says, hey, you don't trust the universe. You're lying, or you're cheating, or you're hoarding, or you're not giving attention to your children when you want to, or when you need to, when they need you to. And this sense of hoarding says, there's not enough, the concept of lack. And so it's like karma is that when you're acting in alignment with those old patterns, there's not enough, then it builds the same consequences of what shows up. Oh, there isn't enough. There isn't enough time. There isn't enough money. There isn't enough. But when you start breaking those patterns, when you start noticing those patterns and say, okay, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to just stop doing what doesn't work. Then something else shows up. My friend Harriet is having a lot of problems, aches and pains with her joints. And she's now beginning to say, I'm just going to stop the sugar. I'm going to stop the grains, the refined grains, the mostly wheat, and just see what happens. And she's finding something is shifting in her body, and she's starting to lose weight. And things are becoming effortless that way. And it's not like she's having to suffer and settle and deprive herself whatsoever, but she's feeling better. And there's more energy for her, and there's more vitality. And because she's not in so much pain, she's happier and more joyful, more spontaneous, more creative, because that's what pain does. That's what inflammation does. It distracts us from having a wonderful life. So one of the things I realized for myself, and I see this in my clients, is when they stop doing what doesn't work, they break that karmic pattern. Now new stuff can come in that they don't even know is possible. They don't even know what's possible. It's pretty amazing. And I don't know what's possible for you to experience. I just know that when we stay in a pattern that gives us the same outcome over and over and over again, we're not open. There's no opening to the potentiality of what's possible. So this conversation really, in summary, is about noticing the patterns that bring about the negative or the unhappy or the suffering or the struggling or the not enough and go, okay, I can stop doing that as a pattern and just to see what shows up, just as an experiment. And in doing that, you're going to begin to notice stuff that doesn't make sense. Stuff like prosperity or generosity of other people or friendships at a different level, or, your children are paying attention to you differently than before. You just have no idea what's possible when we get out of your own way, when I get out of my own way and stop doing what doesn't work. In a sense, stop thinking those patterns, those thoughts that are just negative. And they influence what shows up. So when we stop doing that, we can then go, wow, look at all the generosity. Wow, life is generous. Wow, look at all the beauty. Look at all the fulfillment. Look at and all of these things begin to come into your life. And you go, wow, I didn't know that was possible for me. And it's awesome. So there's nothing to do but stop doing what doesn't work and notice what shows up. It's pretty simple. It's not easy because we don't want to give up our habits because we're afraid. We don't know how to be with the uncertainty. And that's where it's helpful to have a thinking partner, a spiritual guide, a coach, someone who can steward you through this process of letting go of what doesn't work, being with the uncertainty and all of the permutations of that, and getting you to the other side where you're going, wow, this is pretty awesome. And that's my job, and that's the intention of these podcasts, is to support and empower you to go through this process. And if you need a support, let me know. Or there's a lot of people out there that are really there to be there for you. All right. I'm sending you big hugs and love. Check out my website, theparadigmshifts.com. Or email me at rosie@theparadigmshifts.com. All right, big hugs. Bye for now.